Well, hello everybody. Happy Saturday afternoon. As you can see, I am once again clean shaven. The itchiness was too much for me, at least for the present moment. But it is good to see you all. It's good to speak with you all. I wanted to talk just briefly today because last time, so a couple days ago on Tuesday it was, we talked about why people are stuck in a burnout job, right? Well, now I want to talk about why people who do make that jump, why people who do have the courage to say, hey, listen, I'm going to go do this. They're honest with themselves. They get past all the delusions, all the hesitations, all the whatever, right? And they do make the jump. Very often will then fail to get the outcome that they're searching for. They'll fail to really make a career transition successfully, and it can really end in disaster, right? And then what happens is then it creates an issue because that serves as a warning sign that a totem to everybody else. Well, don't go this way, right? Don't go do this. And the truth is that there's nothing. It's not that the making the career transition is inherently the bad decision. It's that there are these traps along the way that people fall into. And I want to make sure you guys don't fall into them. I want to give you, kind of like a map so that you don't step on any landmines, so that when you do go make that decision, that you can do it successfully, and ideally a lot more successfully than perhaps other people you've seen or heard of or anything along those lines. Because there are very few things that are harsher than summoning up the courage to do what you know you need to do and then still having it blow up in your face. Like, that's really horrible, and that's not something I want any of you guys to have to face. So reason number one that career transitions end up blowing up is analysis paralysis. So there are a lot of people who spend a lot of time trying to make everything perfect, right? So for people who are looking to get hired at a new job, it's their resume and their cover letters. For freelancers, it's their profile and their proposals. And then for entrepreneurs, it's their business plans and their marketing materials. And they get all caught up in the time of trying to, oh, well, this thing's got to be perfect, and, oh my God, and this and that and the whatever, right? And the result is they never actually take action, right? They're sitting there and they're on their 20th version of their business plan, right? Or they're, oh, well, this proposal isn't just right. Oh, the job expired. Oh, well, I can't do it now, whatever, right? And the truth is that perfection is a myth. Right. And spending months trying to get things just right, it doesn't serve you, because while you wait, opportunities pass you by. Right. And ultimately, at the end of the day, analysis paralysis is rooted in a fear of failure. Right. And, if we're just going to call it straight, which is how I like to operate, the truth is that in any major shift, you are going to fail. There are going to be times when you're going to fail. Accept that now, because it's just the way it is. Right. So fail fast, learn from it, and then do better. And then every time you fail, you're getting closer to your goal. And if you learn and you grow in every attempt, then eventually you will succeed, right? And then you'll know exactly how you did it, and you'll have a system so that you can repeat it, and you'll be in a sustainable path. So, but if you stand on the sidelines trying to get everything perfect, then you'll never be able to keep up with the people who are actually in the arena, who are actually playing, because they're learning new stuff every day, right? God knows, like in my business, I did a lot of things that didn't work. I mean, a lot of things that didn't work. Right? I wasted a lot of money and a lot of time, but every single time I learned. I did not get trapped in analysis paralysis. Right? As Don says, failing is better than never trying. Right? And I think there was a basketball player, a hockey player, who said, "You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take." Right? So you've got to go out there. You've got to go out. You've got to get past the analysis paralysis. Done is better than perfect, to quote one of my mentors. Go out, do it, put it out there, get some feedback from the world, and then go and do it again. Now, the second reason that people fail is delusional optimism, right? And this is the exact opposite of analysis paralysis. So people who are delusional optimists, instead of worrying about failing, they refuse to even consider that failure is possible, right? They just won't even look at it, right? So they just assume that everything's going to work out just as they plan, and even when they have no idea what they're doing. Right. So an example of this is, like, one time somebody came to me. They were asking me to invest in a nightclub. And so I was like, okay, cool. Well, send me your business plan. And in the guy's business plan, he had it. I swear to God, he said that Lady Gaga would come perform at his club for free because she'd be in town. And that he just expected that to happen. And he was budgeting that into his numbers. It was like fixed into his budget. Now, any of you probably realize like that's not going to happen. There's nowhere in the world where Lady Gaga will perform for free. It just doesn't happen. Like, if you're really good at something, don't do it for free. And she's smart enough, and she's got enough people around her that she knows that, right? So this guy was just delusional optimist, right? Just way out there. He had no idea what he was doing. I tried to explain to him like that wasn't how things were going to work, and he wasn't listening to any of it, right? So delusional optimism is when it's that kind of thing where somebody says, hey, listen, it's just going to work. I know how, this is what it's going to be. I'm not going to have any problems. There's no contingency planning. There's no, hey, listen, what happens if it goes wrong? There's none of that, right? So, what happens is people who are delusional optimists, they don't know what they don't know, right? They don't realize how much they don't know. So it's a very rude awakening when they run face first into the brick wall of reality, right? Which is what happened with this guy. His club completely failed and he lost all his money. And he put up a bunch of stuff as collateral. So he went totally bankrupt because he didn't actually take the time to plan out things that he needed to plan out. So the first step to beating delusional optimism is to have the courage to give yourself an honest answer to these two questions. So the first question is, how can this go wrong? And the second question is, what happens if it does go wrong? And if you can give yourself honest answers to those two questions, then you can, that's the first step, right? And then you can go and you can do some research, right? Educate yourself on the statistics, learn what people who are winning the game you want to win are doing and do that, right? Research, a lot of people think research is really boring, especially people who are delusional optimists. They don't like the idea of sitting down and reading and all this other kind of stuff. But I promise you, it is more pleasant than learning in the school of hard knocks. That I can absolutely assure you. So there's kind of this balance right here between this delusional optimism and analysis paralysis, right? So on one hand, you got to do your research in the beginning. You got to put some time into it. You can't put zero time into it. But the second is once you've done your research, you actually have to go act, right? You can't get caught up in researching forever. There comes a point where you actually have to take action and go make it happen. And learning to cut that balance fundamentally is at the end of the day, one of the most important things you're ever going to do. Now, the third reason why people's career transitions fail is inner conflict. So both analysis paralysis and delusional optimism fundamentally are rooted in either not knowing what to do or not knowing how to do it or something along those lines, right? But perhaps the largest category are the people who do know what they need to do, but they can't actually bring themselves to go do it, right? So there are a couple things that can happen. Maybe they don't believe that they're worthy, right? That's one that I see a lot. People, they don't think that they're worthy of success, and they're down on themselves, and they just can't see themselves being anything more than what they've been or whatever, right? Or they feel bad about commanding what they're worth financially, right? So people, entrepreneurs who will charge way less than the value they deliver, or freelancers who will set their prices really low because, they couldn't believe that somebody would actually pay them $50 or $100 an hour or any of this kind of stuff, even though there are people who will. Or they have psychological blocks about financial abundance, like, oh my God, rich people are evil and I don't want to, and inherently, if you think rich people are evil and you are trying to become rich, you're going to sabotage yourself because you don't want to be evil. That's just how your mind works, So there are, all kinds of psychological blocks about that kind of stuff. Or maybe their energy levels are just through the floor just because they're stressed and miserable and all that kind of stuff. Right. So any of this inner conflict will cause people to self-sabotage. They'll either freeze up entirely or they'll spend a bunch of energy on busy work that doesn't make a difference. Like, oh, well, I didn't get around to sending any proposals today because I had to floss my turtle and just random stuff that people get caught up in. And at the end of the day, overcoming inner conflict requires us a lot of soul searching. It's a lot of changing disempowering beliefs. It's a lot of refocusing. It's a lot of wisdom. And that's why I created a process called psychohacking to shift those conditioned behaviors and dissolve the stress and give people back control of the thought patterns in their minds, right? That's why I came up with it. But that's ultimately what you got to do to beat inner conflict. So ultimately, any of these three reasons, whether it be the analysis paralysis or the delusional optimism or the inner conflict, any of those ultimately normally leads to people giving up. So people in analysis paralysis and inner conflict, they don't do what's necessary to make progress, And then eventually the frustration and the exasperation gets to the point where they just can't take it anymore. The delusional optimist, they'll normally find something else to distract them. And then they'll say, oh, well, you know, I'm going to go do this other amazing thing. And this wonderful opportunity has come up and it's going to make me $1 billion. And that's not, you know, the real truth is that they didn't stick with the first thing because they don't know what went wrong and they couldn't figure that out. So then they just distract themselves with the next shiny object, right? Shiny squirrel syndrome. And then, you know, when that's done, right, they'll go to the next project and they'll just do the same thing. They'll be really optimistic. They won't do the research and then on to the next thing. And it's just a string of things, a string of projects. But regardless of which of the three groups, though, right, if you make the jump out of a steady career, then your finances are going to drain away because you're not bringing in the money. And if you're stuck in any of these traps, you're not going to have the income, right? And you're just going to see your bank account go down and down and down and down and down while you struggle to figure things out. And that's not what I want for any of you guys, which is why I did this presentation and why I kind of gave you guys the traps that are there so that you can avoid them. So one of the best ways to shortcut all of this, right, to avoid getting trapped in any of this stuff, is to work with an expert who can share proven systems so that you don't have to overanalyze things and you can just leapfrog ahead of your competitors for jobs or clients or whatever business you're in, right? And who can show you how to shatter the inner conflict that's blocking your road to freedom. So that's why I have carved out some time with you guys. So if you guys are looking to talk to an expert to, you know, get a clear path going forward so that you don't fall into any of these traps, you don't step on any of these landmines, then come talk to me. The link is www.oculusinstitute.com/scheduling. You can go and you can go and schedule there. Yes, Don is saying go do that for sure. Absolutely. The call is absolutely free. So go book a call. I've carved out some time this week to chat with you all. I actually won't be here next week because I'm going to be in Hawaii. I'm leaving on Friday. So if you want to do it, you should probably do it now, because if you don't do it now, then you won't get a chance. And then we'll take a look at when we get on the call, we'll take a look at where you are. We'll take a look at where you want to go, and we'll take a look at what's the best way to get you there, right? There's no reason to take the risk of falling into any of these traps. So go book a session right now. I look forward to chatting with you guys soon, and I look forward to helping you all out. Farewell and have a nice day.